Hello, my children. Today we are airing a special episode of Reviews. Today we are talking about one of gaming's most iconic gaming characters, Bayonetta. And today, as we begin the Church of Bayonetta, I will recite to you a verse from the many chapters of Bayonetta. So please turn your books, your holy books, to chapter 1, verse 5. And thus she descended from And yes, she descended upon from Paradiso, giving rise to many loves, many joys, many sorrows, but only for heathens, for they did not realize her true beauty. And thus we gave unto them a most humble gift, our acceptance of their hate. For we do not judge those who do not love Bayonetta, for we only judge those who would judge her to be awful. And that is the only hurt, that it was always hidden from our hearts. Because remember, folks, even if you do not like Bayonetta, she will like you. That will be all for today for the Church of Bayonetta. Please stand by for the normal review. Well, that was a weird intro. But hey everybody, True Wise Gamer here, giving off my vast knowledge so you may understand games a bit better. If you notice the camera, hey, no more black dots everywhere. I mean, like, you can still see them if you look really closely, but hey, they're mostly gone. I gotta take my victories whenever I can. In any case, yeah, if you notice that title in the bottom here, about how I think Bayonetta's story is actually good, yeah, that's not a joke. I actually legitimately believe that. I'm not saying that you should think it's a good story, but I think it's unfairly maligned. Honestly, this entire discussion is here just so that we could actually talk about Bayonetta in the sense of the story and how much I think it's actually pretty good. Because, as I mentioned before, it is unfairly maligned for just having these silly elements. Granted, I can agree with you, it's not supposed to be this most epic of seriousness, but hey man, not everything's supposed to be taken 100% serious. But in any case, let us begin the story of Bayonetta. But first, let us discuss a few things. Hi, future me. You see, this is a little weird because a lot of my live stuff was recorded a little before the controversy happened. So I apologize for not talking about that when it happened, thus I apologize again. But to mention it now, I think it is bullshit what they did to the actor for Bayonetta. I still to this day don't know why they lied about her being unavailable, which is like I would have accepted, but now they just straight up said they lied. They just straight up lied. I still enjoy these two games, but holy fuck, it changes your mind about a lot of things about a company just because they lied about that sort of small thing. Now, of course, I'm not saying you should like it. I'm just saying it's unfairly maligned for having these goofy elements that, well, yes, at a first glance it makes no sense, but if you're not allowing yourself to get into the flow of things, of course it's not going to make any sense because you don't care. Heck, I find it odd that those who would say this story is bad are also the same type of people who just won't let a story have elements that are just weird because they're somehow unrealistic or some other nonsense like that. I mean, heck, when there are people out there who believe, and I cannot stress this enough because I keep bringing it up because it's really a thing, there are people out there who believe that Jews are from space. So please, take that unrealistic nonsense and just bugger off. And I mean, at this point, I don't think it needs to be said that I love this game, but I'll just say it again. I really love this game. I mean, heck, I bought a Switch just to be able to play both 1 and 2. Also smashed because Joker was revealed at the time, and wow, I feel old. In any case, Bayonetta. I won't go much into the discourse about whether or not she's okay as a symbol of woman empowerment or a glorified sex figure. Personally, I'm of the former because, one, I like Bayonetta since it's always established that it is something she chose to do, and the developers wanted to show her off as both sexy and strong, while showing off she's playing no second fiddle to anyone in this story. And also that she doesn't need help from anyone else except her only friend, who's also awesome. But that's getting a bit ahead of myself. But this intro has gone on long enough, so let's begin the review for Bayonetta. The story begins with an intro that is only there to confuse you, because I don't get why it's even here to begin with, and with this series continuity, you should see another Bayonetta over there. But that's for another time, being the next game. Anyway, the game truly begins with a graveyard scene that's there to give us some of the credits as we reach the gravestone of Hideki Kamiya. What? Look, I think it's a cool name, and I think it would be funny just to call him that. Plus, ironically, I'm rechanging this to do again the controversy, and well, it kind of fits with his new name now. Besides, being blocked by him now is not even a joke. Though it is taken away as his gravestone is being pissed on by Enzo, an undertaker who is preparing to bury the body of Eggman? God dang, Sonic did go on the deep end. I think after killing Infinite, I think it just pushed him over to out the edge. I'm not sorry for that. That was a freaking good joke. In any case, he's just going on and on about not really anything important, while the nun is just praying for Eggman, as he soon just jokes out of hand that if God wanted Eggman, it would just be to be sunny side up. And well, then God just sent his angels. You know, it's weird when a game or a piece of media just blatantly confirms that angels and demons are real and do determine where your soul goes. However, that's what the nun was waiting for, as she just jumps up and starts kicking their ass. And really, if this doesn't sell you on the game, I don't know what will. It's just a fun scene that gets you an understanding of all these characters and the type of world you're getting into. It shows off her being a cheeky lass that knows what she's going to do and use it to her full advantage. Like, most of these angels are like, oh, what the heck is going on? Ah! If you're wondering where all those special effects are coming from, I like to believe that either God or Rodin is just placing them around just for Bayonetta, because if you don't think these are beautiful, then you're wrong.
As long as there's music, I'll keep on dancing.
Yeah, speaking on the music, it's just some dang good music. Like, it just makes me sad that some games out there don't even have half as good as music as this. It's honestly sad. Like, Bayonetta theme is just amazing. I love it too much. The cover for Fly Me to the Moon is really amazing, like really good. Though I think they overuse it a bit too much, but otherwise it's still fine. Though it also has some other cool songs that you don't always normally hear, but it fits well enough. It sort of has this sort of class to it while also being a treat to listen to. That fits Bayonetta so well. However, I will complain that the goddamn Pachi slot, yes, there is one, has a really cool song, and it's not in either of the games. For shame, I say. Anyway, I'll hold out for combat for a little bit, because I would like to do it after the story summary, which ironically won't be too long, just about a page. Bayonetta is an Umbran witch, someone who hunts angels in exchange for her powers. They have to constantly do this. If they don't, the demons will drag them into Inferno or Hell, to be done whatever happens to them. Actually, side noting here, the game never actually explains it, and none of the wikis I found actually explain it, but what the heck happens to a soul that goes to Paradiso? In any case, if you notice I say they would, well, that case because Bayonetta is sort of the last of her kind. In the past, there was something called the witch hunt, which basically slaughtered them for the most part. Yeah, and the worst part is, she can't remember her past, since she was in a coffin sealed up. No memory of what happened. Suddenly, while heading back from a job, she runs into another unborn witch, Jean, who attacks her but seems to know her and isn't willing to tell her what's up. Before Bayonetta could try to grab her and make her talk, a truck flies in out of nowhere. Honestly, I had a hard time choosing a joke for this, but the only one that came up into my mind about this scene is that US-1 was most likely activating his jet mode just to get out of this entire situation. It's the only one that made sense to me. Because you can have this scene because this scene makes no sense.
Bayonetta, in order to figure out her past, since her past seems to be trying to call for her, starts her journey to a town to figure out her past that holds a similar jewel that she carries near her that's actually near Paradiso, that's run by a Lumen Sage. Basically similar like an Unbrun witch, except they're all males and use angels, and is making plans to do something, though what it is not clear until later. Even if she's not here for a job, the angels will try to kill her regardless, even though she's got some wicked weapons to blow them away. Cause wicked weaves. Shut up, it was a good joke. That is the setup for the most part. It's pretty good. It's not all about just Bayonetta since there are other characters here too, but I think it's for the most part there enough to give you an idea what's gonna happen. I would recommend that you play the game yourself since for the most part, this game will spoil the story for you, so press to this time frame to just go to combat. If you're still here, thanks for trying to listen to my ramblings for a bit. So Rodon, the arms seller of the game, who we'll talk about when we get into combat a little more, is not the type of guy to let a lady go unprepared, as he gives Bayonetta a weapon of her choice, that being Scara Brayfair, a set of 4 pistols that she attaches to her limbs. How she can use it on her feet and use bullets? I guess it may be because of her hair. Yeah, the odd thing about Bayonetta is that she uses her hair as clothing. For her to use more powerful attack, she actually has to let her hair down and kind of be naked at times to deal more damage. But why hair as her clothing? I mean, if you saw her in the battle before, it's not fun to have your clothes ripped up and having to buy new ones. And it's not cheap in this economy. And if you're wondering about the bullets, I don't know, they don't actually explain that. If they had just said that she's able to just magically input bullets into her gun because of the chamber's special properties, I think everyone would just be okay with that. Though the actual reason is because they don't want to show off Bayonetta reloading. That is the actual reason. While on her journey, we meet Luca, the charming, lovable idiot who knows Bayonetta and thinks she killed her father. But it was actually the angel's fault for reasons later. Though actually it doesn't really matter because it really doesn't... Actually, is Luca's father dead anymore? I only ask because of a later event, but we'll get into that when we get to it. We also meet a small girl called Cereza, which Bayonetta seems to have some odd connection to. If I had to actually give the story a complaint, around the part of chapter 3 or 5, it's where I would say the plot pauses. That's not to say that nothing is happening, it's just that in the grand scheme of things of a summary, none of it really matters. That's not to say that the fluff in there isn't good. It's actually quite good. I in fact watched some of the cutscenes again just for the fun of it because they are just fun scenes to watch, which is always good. Cause those scenes can allow you to connect to these characters a lot better and make you like them. Hope their journey's gonna go well. Unlike, say, Final Fantasy 13, where every scene was a waste of your time and did nothing. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep rambling on about Final Fantasy 13. Maybe it's because it was a bad story, compared to Bayonetta. Though that's not a high mark to say because literally most things are better than 13. There are a few, but those are just, we don't touch. In any case, after a bit and near the tail end, we fight Jeanne, who is a really good fight. I really did enjoy her battle, though the tail end of her battle could have been a little better, but I'll get into that in a moment. But I did want to mention something about the fight. See, the theme of the fight is Red and Black. It's a really, really good song, I love it. But for whatever reason, it is not vocalized. It has lyrics, it is fully voiced, but for whatever reason, the song was not included in the game, but in the patchy slot game. Yes, seriously. I still to this day don't know why it was this way. And really, it's a minor complaint, I'm just bringing it up because it's really weird. I mean, heck, the patchy slot has this song that's playing in the background right now, and I don't know why, it's also good. Seriously, why does the patchy slot get these cool songs, but not the actual players? But what the heck is Jeanne's deal anyway? Well, it has to do with a few things, but for the most part, she was mind controlled by the main villain. The reason will become apparent later. Cause after a annoying boss rush, which, yeah, all the bosses kinda suck except for this boss right here, and Jeanne. Because at least her fights are more on equal ground and this fight is a lot more interesting mechanic-wise. for me at least. In any case, we finally meet the Lumen Sage, Baldur, who is actually Cereza's father. But the more interesting twist is that Cereza is actually a younger version of Bayonetta. Why, you ask? Well, he wants her to regain her memories so that she could awaken her left eye of the world, which is something he needs to awaken Jubileus, the creators in quotation marks, because I'm not entirely sure because of weird lore stuff, but in any case, doesn't really matter, to awaken Jubileus, a godlike being. Now, you might be just asking yourself, okay, why time travel? Why not some spectral clone or something? Cause if you have time travel, well, in all honesty, you really can't lose. Though 2 sort of tries to explain this, it both works and it doesn't at the same time because of a lot of nonsense, and I'm sorry, this is why I really don't like time travel. And I mean, besides that, you had John, a rival slash friend slash maybe lovers. That last one is by the fans, which I am not against as a human being. As a Bayonetta canon literalist, I cannot accept it. If the Fur King started and just revealed that sort of thing, don't you dare think I wouldn't accept it in a heartbeat. Well, I got sidetracked for too long, but in any case. However, Bayonetta says nuts to that plan as she kicks his ass, and sends Cereza back in time. However, this results in time changing for the better, basically keeping her memories and thus allowing her not to be sealed and allowing her to survive the witch hunt normally. This is hard to explain, but I'll try to explain it in my best way. The way I've usually just kind of wrapped my head around this moment in the plot was that of, well, division time travel. To simplify division time travel, it asserts that, well, I think I'm the only one who made it up, but in any case, it asserts the idea that whenever you time travel, sure, for a paradox to just not happen, essentially the old world's gotta be just gone. It's just gone now. It no longer exists. Well, except for you and those who you time traveled with. Because again, in order to prevent a paradox, something has to remain. So I just say that you are the remainder. That some point between the point of time travel, everything a little before and after that can sort of remember it before the time travel kind of like destroys you. Thus you can go into the past or the future depending on how you're doing things. If you think I'm trying to like answer a stupid moment in a plot, not really. I just thought this would be interesting to talk about for a moment because nobody ever thinks about this sort of thing in time travel stories and how it's not a thing in stories for some reason. I mean, if it is, do tell me, but otherwise, that's the answer I'm going for. Because also, you know, it answers all the plot holes. And besides that, it does help me answer my question, so you're technically right, I am using it to answer some problems, but it still works. Unfortunately, this was actually what Baldur wanted. By changing the past, it essentially awakened Bayonetta's left eye. Thus, Baldur quickly grabs her, putting her in Jubileus, trying to awaken her. However, John wakes up from the mind control because Baldur's mind control has worn off, thus rushes to Bayonetta to save her. Which she does succeed, but however, it's too late. Jubileus awakens, and since Bayonetta is not in it, well, Jubileus is going a little crazy. However, if you know anything about Bayonetta, this is just gonna be an easy fight. Which it really was. Ironically, as a final boss, she's very easy for the most part, other than one insta-kill move, which, bugger that, any insta-kill moves should just be not a thing. Heck, they defeated her so badly, they not only destroy her body, but her freaking soul. As the game ends with Bayonetta and John working together to gain more Halos for their next job. Like I mentioned before, while the story is mostly fluff, it is a good story. As I mentioned before, does more than Final Fantasy XIII. Every character is very likable with very memorable lines. I personally feel there is no real dull moment in the plot, and it's really good. I mean, like, is it complicated? Not really. I mean, until the end and the time travel stuff happens, but that's a whole other matter. But otherwise, it's understandable, you know what's going on, and it's simple as that. I always hate it when people tell me a game's plot is too simple, thus bad, which I've heard this as a critique a lot in some people, which is really annoying because, you know, something being simple is fine. It can work depending on the story. Or else you get what again happened to Final Fantasy XIII, overcomplicating a story that really didn't need it. And I'm gonna say hello to everyone who just skipped to this part because, in all honesty, I understand you guys if you didn't want a story summary of the game. Again, fair enough. I played this game mostly for the gameplay, but I'm still gonna talk about the plot because it's something I want to talk about. Well, I did go a little too long on the plot. I promise you my discussion of the gameplay is going to be a little longer.
In any case, let's dance into combat. Though I am not a master, I do believe I have something to say that are at least accurate. So let's actually begin. Combat is a beat 'em up that requires a lot of skill to do right.
So combat is a beat 'em up that requires a lot of skill to do properly. When I say a lot, I mean it. The combat is simple at first, but it will begin to get harder very quickly. In this game, you got punches and kicks, which you can string together to attack foes. These combos are important as combos are needed to do a lot of things. As you'll progress, you'll gain access to more weapons like shotguns and whatever the hell this thing is. These can allow for many sorts of combos, though some weapons are restricted to certain limbs, so be aware of that. At the end of a combo, you perform a Wicked Weave, a move that deals more damage and is a wider hitting move. And it's very useful depending on the weapon. You might be asking, why would I want to change out weapons? Well, the obvious is damage, and they vary a bit depending on each one, but the more important one is at times is building up your combo meter. It's this little bar over here that you won't notice at first, but it is important to pay attention to. You see, some weapons are just more effective against certain foes, so for the most part you want to use those weapons against those certain foes, since it will usually help build your combo meter a bit faster, allowing you to gain a good rank. Ranks are determined by 3 things. 1, your combo. 2, your time. You need to do these very quickly, and when I say quickly, I mean again, very quickly. And also, not getting hit, for it will give you a pure platinum trophy, which this game loves to make nearly impossible to get at times. I'll explain that more later. Though doing that in this game is not that hard, as dodging is a very core mechanic in this game. Which is a bit odd, as a lot of action games I've ever played make dodging very much more of a, you can use it, but we really wouldn't recommend it. In this game, dodging is mandatory for the most part. We'll get into that later. A lot of the game's problems and issues really tie into each other near the tail end, which we'll get into in a moment. But why do you want to dodge so much? Well, you want to do that so that you can activate Witch Time. Witch Time is a mechanic where if you dodge at the right time, you can slow down time around you and begin wailing on foes to quickly defeat them and gain more points through its use. It is always useful to do and fun to do as well. Though on harder difficulties and later on, well, the game will take it away from you for some reason. There is one foe in the game that is just super annoying to fight that wears an armor that just prevents Witch Time altogether, which is odd since the entire game feels like it is built off the idea that you have access to this. There are other ways to access it, but we'll have to get into that now, but before that we actually need to talk about one other character, Rodon. For the challenges you might face, a little help is always nice, and Rodon is here to help, for the right price of course. He is the one who made the weapons for Bayonetta, the most notable ones, Scarabray Fair. Your currency is halos from the angels that you kill, though calling them angels is actually very accurate in a weird way, because as you can tell they look like sort of like angels because of their ceramic nature, but inside they're actually very fleshy and disgusting looking, which is very accurate if you know anything about angel mythology. Anyway, Rodon is able to supply you in a lot of ways. The first one are lollipops that Bayonetta can use for multiple purposes, but the one she is known for is the red lollipop, that allows her to deal more damage than normal, which if you note in the story, she'll use them in cutscenes when fighting bosses. It's almost like it's gameplay synergy. I don't know, maybe the story is good. Who the funk it? Though for some reason, Rodon will only give you a certain amount for some reason. I'm not sure why. I mean, we can make our own with no real limit through ingredients from the levels. Yeah, you can make more, but my point still stands, and honestly, even then, you don't want to use them because they negatively affect your rank. My only guess is that they're here to help average players get further in the game and need more help. But I don't know, punishing a player for using a core mechanic is just weird. You can also buy a certain amount of upgrades of Witch Hearts and Pearls. The first one increases your health overall, the other one allows for more magic spears that allow for more uses of torture attacks or accessories. Torture attacks are moves that when you have a full bar, you can press the prompted buttons and deal a lot of damage after a quick time event. Which, while yes, can kill a foe instantly in most cases if full, though for the most part I never used them much because after a bit I kinda realized they're kinda useless. Because you see, they waste more time that you really shouldn't be wasting because, again, doing a combo is just more effective overall. Then also, they require so many presses to do. It's like ridiculous, like you have to mash that shit just to do them right. In fact, in the John fight, there's a QTE moment where you can counter John's fist attack with your own fist attack going into a JoJo barrage punch thing, which is kinda awesome, but oh my god, that actually hurts my thumb to do. Holy crap, that was just awful. In any case, again, torture attacks, not that useful. Because for besides the other thing, you'll most likely just want to use them for the accessory. Rodon also has a bunch of accessories you can get, either through legal means or cheating, though more a bit on that in a bit. I didn't use any of them because I didn't feel like it because I was fine for the most part, except for the Mooncala's bracelet thing, which allows Bayonetta to parry an attack if done right, and if you do it perfectly, you can go into Witch Time, like the new character from Free, which is really neat, and in fact is the only way you will gain access to Witch Time in the hardest difficulty. Though that's not all you can buy, as you can buy the most useful thing to build on, those being techniques that allow her to do more things in combat. Like breakdancing, whatever the heck this move is. Seriously, I love, this move was awesome for me because I didn't think I would ever do it properly. But the most useful of all is the Bats Within. The move is utterly broken as is useful in most cases since, let's just say you mess up a dodge. You can quickly recover without even taking a hit, though timing it is really hard. Though strangely enough, I can do it no problem for the most part for some reason. I don't get it. Though there's one mechanic / technique in the game that's never even hinted at for some reason, that being Dodge Offset. Dodge Offset is the mechanic where it allows you to continue a combo even after a dodge. This is done by attacking a foe, and before you dodge, you hold your last attack button, then dodging, then pressing your next attack. Now one could argue that it's not necessary to progress, and yeah, you're right, the game has a mechanic that just makes combos easier to do. And by the end, it's more useful for the harder modes, thus I asked, why not just give us a quick tutorial of the mechanic? There is no way a player is going to learn this naturally, except for unlearning some of their bad habits they might have developed that will just take a while for a player to do, who might not even have the patience for that. To state my issue again, my problem is not that the game has this mechanic, it's just that it's not even hinted that it is a thing you can do. Hell, the devs had to tell players about the cheat mechanic that no one knew about since again, it was never even hinted at. There is something to be said about not telling a player something and letting them figure it out on their own, but at the same time, you can't just truly not tell us something that is just fundamentally important to know. In any case, the last thing you can buy for your Halos are costumes, though I hardly change out of them since they look fine for the most part, but some of them are... ugh. I'm talking about the princess costumes, they just suck. I mean, they are trying way too hard, and are just ugh. Though, speaking of the graphics, I love it. Design-wise, I love them all, except a bit of the Bayonetta cone. I don't care for it, I don't hate it, and thankfully it was removed in Bayonetta 2 with a better costume, though that's not to say that the costume she has here is bad. It just got improved. All the angels look really cool, even the bizarre one like this thing, and whatever the heck this thing is. I sadly can't say that about the environment. Overall, it looks very samey. Not to say that they don't look good, they do. It just feels repeaty. Though in some cases, that is what's happening. Though there is one thing I will always despise because it's the dumbest thing that I don't get why it was even allowed in the game to begin with. And it may explain why I like the aesthetics of the second game more than this game, even though they look pretty much the same. That being the weird filter the game has over it. It's just a bad filter that just drains all the colors from it. Like, why? It doesn't help the game at all, and it just makes the game feel dated, because why have it? It's just an oddity that does not help it. I mean, the style of the game is ageless. I'm just saying, why is it here? I mean, like, if you're getting this game and you're getting the PC version, please get that mod that just removes this dumb filter. Cause for real, in this game, why the bloody heck is it not even a thing? Like, seriously. In any case, let's actually go back to the weapons for a moment. Rodon also makes the new weapons and alt weapons. Alt weapons are just a copy of the weapons that you could just put on either limb. But anyway, new weapons. See, scattered around the levels are some well-hidden verses and LPs. LPs you can give to Rodon to get those new weapons. Though when I say hidden, they are very well hidden.
You wanna know what else is hidden? This video's sponsor. Because I don't have any.
I still to this day have no idea why the developers made it this way. Why hide stages to fight foes? Why are you doing that? Remember, these are required to do and you need to do them all. And the game does penalize you for not going for them, so you won't get a pure platinum rank. Which, wow game, why are you punishing me from a good rank when it's not my fault for not knowing where they are? What's worse is that they include the Alfheim missions. I know, right? Why does it need to include an alien? I don't frickin' know. These missions aren't hard, they're just annoying. Some of them are really simple, like defeat these amount of foes in this amount of time. These are really easy and with enough time you can do them. It's just that these harder ones are just freaking annoying. And the game doesn't give you an idea of how the heck you're supposed to do that. What's worse is that these are necessary to get all your upgrades, which is just weird. And as I mentioned before, if you don't do them, you don't get the pure platinum trophy, which again requires you to know these levels by the back of your hand. And you have to do this without taking damage. It is utter hell. It is fun, but utter hell, I'm saying. It's just a bit more than what you should be expected to play through. And heck, I would have been fine if the issues like the requirements were pure platinum, but the game doesn't even make it easy to restart. Now you're probably wondering what the heck I'm talking about. See, players are able to restart a verse if they get hit by basically backing out to the title menu, then continue. But it takes so long to do that I have to ask, if the developer don't put it in free, I'm just gonna ask, why are they ignoring this? Because for the most part, that will be the only way you'll be able to gain those pure platinums.
At the end of the day, I still think this game's good. Does it have its problems? Oh yes, most certainly. But those are minor aspects of a game that I overall still think is still good. So please, I do recommend the game to you. Just to remind people, because of the controversy, I do not recommend you buy new. Please buy pre-owned, so that way, you know, they can get the message until this entire situation is resolved. Because what the fuck?